It's time for your daily LSU baseball update with Musso at the box. Now, Matt Musso.
Off and running. Welcome in. Another edition of Musso at the Box, presented by Got Lit Light Installers, gotlitlights.com. LSU travels to Austin, Texas, face the Longhorns in a 3-game series. Week number 2 of SEC play, a top 10 showdown between two of the most storied programs in college baseball. We have your full series breakdown for you right here on Musso at the Box. We will go through pitching matchups, key matchups in the games, key players to watch, give you some background on the Texas Longhorns, how the season has gone so far for Jim Schlossnagle in his first year over there on the 40 acres. Plenty to talk about. It feels real now, doesn't it? Like, you got your first taste of SEC play a week ago, but it was Missouri. And Missouri played better than expected in some facets of the ball game. But when it comes down to it, it was Missouri. Now you head on the road for the first time, first true road games for LSU, and it's in conference, and it's against a top 10 team. We will find out how LSU builds off of their trip away from Alex Box Stadium earlier in the year when they went to Arlington and Frisco. Now, what did you learn? The lessons you learned, how can you apply them in a much more hostile environment against the best competition that you will have faced up to this point? That's the question we will try to answer here today on the show. Smash the like button if you have not already. Get subscribed up to the podcast if you have not already on YouTube and on your favorite podcast apps. Just search Musso at the Box and hit that subscribe button. Of course, follow me on social media as well. Twitter X at Musso Matthew. You can find me on Facebook also there, Matthew Musso, Matt Musso, whichever one that you choose. And we will go ahead and dive right into it. These two teams should be very, very familiar with each other. LSU and Texas have met the last 3 seasons. In 2022, that was in the Astros College Classic. Texas took that one 6-1. In 2023, obviously that was the 3-0 game in the midweek in Austin. Gavin Dugas with the late 3-run homer to give LSU that win. And then a season ago, again in the Astros College Classic, LSU coming out victorious there. So 3 single meetings the last 3 years, LSU winning 2 out of the 3. The last time the Tigers were in Austin for a weekend series, that was 2019, and that one did not go well. Texas picking up the sweep there. But when you look at the Longhorn team, there are plenty of familiar faces from the last few years that LSU, they'll recognize, and when you watch the game, you will recognize as well. We'll go through plenty of those guys here over the course of the show. The Longhorns 17-2 overall on the season. They lost their opening game of the season against Louisville in a tournament up in Arlington, then rattled off 17 straight victories, including a 3-game sweep of Mississippi State to open up conference play in Starkville a week ago. A couple of big 7th innings helped Texas put away that series and win, definitely on Friday. And then in game 2 of a doubleheader on Sunday. That is kind of the caveat with that series. It had to rain, wiped out Saturday, so you ended up with or it wiped out one of the days. You ended up with 2 7-inning games, a 7-inning doubleheader to close that one out. But the Longhorns get the sweep in a hostile environment, and Mississippi State was plenty competitive throughout. First game decided by 1 run, second game decided by 2, third game decided by 3. That's kind of your overview here of Texas. Now we can dive a little bit more into the matchup and what LSU needs to do well in our starting pitching. When I look at Texas surface level, this is a team, and you might remember when we were going through LSU's schedule preseason, this was a spot that I liked LSU in an awful lot because I liked that you were getting Texas early. And one of the reasons I liked that is because all the talk surrounding Texas heading into Slosh's first season was, okay, they return an awful lot offensively. It's a veteran lineup that's potent, And that's going to carry them through the early season because they had to figure out the pitching. When I see that, I light up because the game starts and ends on the mound. We all know that. Good pitching is going to beat good hitting more often than not. So when I see, okay, offense going to carry, coming along to figure out the pitching, I like getting them early. That was my preseason thought. But when you look at Texas, it's kind of been the inverse. The offense has been fine. Like it's been good. It has not been as potent, I think, as many thought it would be going in. It has not been as relentless, but they've been good enough. The pitching has carried Texas to this point. Jared Spencer settled in quite nicely and as a transfer from Indiana State in that Friday night role. You get Luke Harrison back off of a redshirt season where he only appeared in, I believe it was 13 games a season ago. Coming off of a redshirt year in 2023, I should say. And I'll double check. Yeah, 13 games with one start. The ERA was very elevated, but he moves into that rotation. That's a guy you had earmarked. It's going well for him there. And you look at the back end of their bullpen, and it is one of the best in the country up to this point in the season. That makes me a little bit more weary about this series, just quite honestly. So while it's still gettable, it's still one that LSU has plenty of advantages in. Looking at Texas, they are different than I thought that they would be. And I think that they thought that they would be in their own right, if that makes any sense. Come in as a ball club. I know I said that was in the end of the overview. That's my fault. Come in as a ball club, hitting 296. They've scored 143 runs so far on the season, which is near the bottom, actually, in the SEC. But they've won, obviously. And again, why? On the mound. Come in, 3.22 ERA, which is near the top of the SEC. Let's go ahead and dive into pitching matchups a little bit now. Texas started the year with 3 lefties in their rotation. That has since changed a little bit. You'll now see them go lefty, lefty, righty. We'll get into those players here momentarily. LSU, we're obviously expecting them to run it back the same way that they have. Cade Anderson to go Friday. It'll be appearance 6th, start 6th. He is 4-0 with an ERA of 2.57. 28 innings for Anderson, just 8 walks, 48 strikeouts, and the opponent is hitting just 186. He was fantastic a week ago against Missouri, a lineup that can hit the ball, gave up the 2-run homer early, then really settled in, ended up getting you into the 7th, struck out 11 for the 2nd consecutive week. Fastball looked good. All the pitches really looked good. It was mainly fastball, slider, curve. You didn't really see the changeup much from Anderson, but this is going to be a different environment. Here comes a road start now, and it will be hostile. You will be outnumbered. That place will be packed to the gills and yelling everything against you. It's going to be up to Cade Anderson to go out there and really set the tone for the weekend for LSU on the mound. That's as big a part as being the Friday night guy as anything when it comes to a weekend series, specifically on the road. If Cade Anderson goes out there, stays composed, which I think he will. Cade Anderson, throughout his career so far at LSU, has really shown great composure. There might have been a couple times a year ago in conference play where he got away from it a little bit with some bad luck. But for the most part, keeping composure has not been an issue for Cade Anderson. So I like that aspect, obviously, of him in a Friday night role going on the road this weekend to face Texas. And again, the stuff has ticked up a little bit this year. That slider has made all the difference for him, and they've been getting through a lineup multiple times and being able to get SEC hitters out. This will be a different test. It's a veteran, potent lineup, but I trust Cade Anderson, and I feel really good having him in that role for LSU. For the homestanding Longhorns, this will be lefty Jared Spencer, senior, 6'3", 210, his first season in Austin, transferred in from Indiana State. It'll be appearance 6, start 6. He is 2-0 with an ERA of 2.36, 26 and 2/3 innings. He has walked 10 and struck out 36. The opponent hits just 214 off of Spencer. He is your prototypical Friday night guy in the SEC. Like if you build him in the lab, it's Jared Spencer. Mid-90s fastball from the left side and an absolutely wicked slider. This thing is hard at 88, 90 miles an hour. Like it is a real slider. And he'll also mix in an off-speed pitch as well, but predominantly fastball, slider, and both are very plus pitches, which actually allows him to get deep in a game, really featuring just the two. As great as the fastball is, and it's got some sink to it, that slider is it's wicked. One thing to keep an eye on with Spencer. He dominated through the pre-conference, as you might expect, given the stuff. The first SEC outing, he got banged up by Mississippi State. In the 5 2/3 he pitched, he surrendered 8 hits and 5 earned runs. Now, he punched out 7, but the 5 earned runs on 8 hits by far season highs for him. So, again, we talk about this often with a bunch of LSU guys. It goes for transfers on other teams too. Will it translate? Didn't translate great for him in week 1 in the SEC. Now you'll bring in a lineup like LSU who puts a lot of pressure. That's something to keep an eye on. But the stuff is plenty good enough for him to go out there and turn in 7 great innings and really put LSU in a bind. Game number 2, that will be Anthony Ianson for LSU. He's made 5 appearances. Appearance 6, start 6, 3-0, 3.90 ERA, 27 2/3 innings for Ianson. Just 6 walks, 40 punch-outs. The opponent hitting 225. You're looking for the bounce back. When you listen to Jay Johnson after the games over the weekend, Ianson wasn't going to be out there much longer. They wanted him to get through the lineup twice, and then they were probably going to go to Connor Ware in the bullpen kind of regardless. He fell 1 batter short. The issue there is, though, why he fell 1 batter short. It was the inverse of the outings that we've seen from Anthony Ianson so far this season, right? Ianson normally got off to the rocky start, got stronger as the game went along. This time against Missouri, he got off to a very fast start, and then it got rocky as the game went along. You're looking for the bounce back. I'm not asking Anthony Ianson to go out there and strike out 15. The competition is ratcheted up. This isn't North Alabama, right? But what he does well is he pounds the strike zone. He just needs to be a little sharper. He has the best walk innings pitched, strikeout ratio of LSU starters. He's going to be in the zone. They're going to play great defense behind him. He has to keep the breaking ball down. And what you saw with him really, the first trip through the lineup against Missouri, it was mainly the fastball and that slider or the split even. And second trip through, they tried to introduce the overhand curve a little bit more. And it just kind of got away from him. Not blaming it all on the curveball. It wasn't just the curveball that was getting hit. It kind of got away from him. We've seen Anthony Ianson have good enough outings to where it's in there. Again, with him being on the road, I like him in adversity because of that game against Nebraska. Now, the caveat there is that was a partial LSU crowd. This won't be. But that was a pressure-packed situation, 11,000 people. He falls behind in the game 5-0. But then obviously we know what he did, to get you through 6 innings. I'm still looking for that complete outing from Anthony Ianson. But it's been good enough from him throughout the year that you're still comfortable. And this will be a great test for him, obviously, going up against Texas. For the Longhorns, that's where you find left-hander number 2, redshirt junior, Luke Harrison. He faced LSU actually in 2022, recorded a 4-out save. Now into the starting role, appearance 6, start 6, 2-0, ERA just north of 2 at 2.08, 21 2/3 innings, 10 walks, 24 Ks, 195, the opponent hits against Harrison. Low 90s fastball, maybe might bump a 94, 95 here and there, but mainly going to sit 91, 93. And then, of course, you have the off speed and the breaking ball. So 3-pitch guy there is Harrison. For him against Mississippi State, didn't get you incredibly deep into the game. But again, that was a 7-inning game that he was pitching, and the walk total was high. He walked 4, struck out 5 in that outing. So again, a little bit of a rocky start there for him as well through the first SEC outing. It was lifted while he was in trouble, but only allowed 2 runs week number 1. And then, of course, that leaves Sunday. Chase Shores for LSU, 6th appearance, 6th start, 4-0, 3.8 ERA, 23 2/3 innings, 10 walks, 27 punch-outs, the opponent hitting 286. It is Shores is going to give up some hits. He's going to give up some hits. He's going to give up contact because of that heavy sinker that he throws at 98. LSU's played really, really good defense behind him. What Chase Shores needs to do first and foremost is cut down the walks. And when he does that, he's going to just ascend for LSU. No doubt in my mind. The slider has been iffy. You're looking for that pitch to get a little bit more consistent from Shores, and that will absolutely help that walk number when that happens. The fastball, I think, has been absolutely fantastic. Like I said, it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's getting a lot of contact and a lot of weak contact, to be honest. Some of those are going to squirt through. I thought the hit total obviously was less a week ago. The pitch count just got up really, really high. And that ultimately chased him out of the game more often than, earlier than I think LSU would have liked. And because of that, he was also in a little bit more trouble than LSU would have liked, and you had to go to your bullpen. But that was when they bounced back really well. So for Shores, I'm really watching the slider, see if it's more consistent and see what that does to his walk total here against Texas. Because we're going to come back to that because it's a big part of this series for a lot of reasons, but it actually is a matchup that might favor LSU. For Texas, this is going to be freshman righty Jason Flores. No relation to the Texas shortstop Jalen Flores, but Jason, 5th appearance, 4th start, 2-0, an ERA of 1.42, 12 2/3 innings pitched, 2 walks, 9 punch-outs. The opponent hitting 128, mid-90s fastball and a slider. Mainly a 2-pitch guy with those, with the fastball and the slider. We'll see how he can get through a lineup, multiple times. His longest outing on the year is 3 2/3, once against Corpus Christi and once against Mississippi State. So this is a guy who has not made it through 4 innings. When you look at that matchup, having Chase Shores, if he can get you deep, you like where you are just on paper heading into this series in that Game 3 matchup. That's something we've talked about plenty, the advantage that might, supply for LSU. Gauntlet Light Installers, gauntletlights.com. Go visit the website, get your quote. Premium permanent outdoor landscape lighting offered now by Gauntlet. Flower beds, pool area, outdoor kitchen, floodlights, anything that you need. Gauntlet Light Installers, they have you covered. And of course, we tell you all the time, you're hosting a private event, wedding reception, an anniversary party for maybe you and your spouse, or just at your company, at your business. Maybe you're a company that hosts events. That's what you do. You put on events. You need a lighting supplier. Gauntlet Lights can do that. Temporary outdoor lighting for your premium events. Graduations are coming up. High school and college. You know you're going to be throwing graduation parties. You need lights for that. Gauntlet Light Installers, they have you covered. Go work with Derek and his team. You will not regret it. You'll immediately see why so many have made this decision before you. Elite customer service, elite relationship building. Anyone can just install lights. Gauntlet Lights takes it to the next level with the customer service and the relationships. Gauntletlights.com for your quote. Tell them you heard it right here on Musso at the Box. All right. A little bit deeper onto the Texas Longhorns now and matchups between them and LSU. This one's going to be interesting because one thing I want to see from the Tigers is, will the offense travel? It's not even just the step up you're going to see in a pitching staff. It's everything that surrounds this series. And when I say, will the offense travel, I don't just mean, well, LSU go out there, have a bunch of hits, and score a bunch of runs. LSU has been awesome in the first inning this season. LSU has outscored their opponents 40-11 in the first inning here in 2025. They've been great. Can you continue to get off to the fast start against Texas? That's going to be important. Look, you're the visiting team. You'll get the first at bat. That place is going to be rip-roaring. Can you go out there, put up a couple of runs, maybe take the air out of that, set the tone, spot Cade Anderson a 2-run lead? Can the offense travel in that regard? What has LSU done? So what are two things that LSU has done so well offensively this year? If you've listened, you know what I'm going to say. So if you know the answer, shout it out. LSU has scored runs with 2 outs, and LSU has immediately responded when the other team has put runs up. Can you do those two things on the road? That's going to be a huge part of this season going forward. If you can prove that in this test, we will all feel much better about every subsequent road series going forward for LSU. So when I say, can the offense travel, that's what I mean. And I think that's going to be wildly important for one major reason. LSU getting out to the fast start. The back end of Texas's bullpen is elite. Texas leads the SEC in saves with 9, and they have 2 primary closers that they will go to, both different. We'll start with Max Grubbs. Max Grubbs is a righty with a couple different breaking balls and a fastball, but the key is nothing straight, and he's really going to feature the breaking ball. It's not overpowering by any stretch of the imagination. The fastball is really going to be 88 to 90, but he really flips that breaking ball in a lot, and he's been awesome. 4 saves to lead the team, 7 appearances, a sub-1 ERA, and he can extend. He pitched once against Mississippi State, closed out the game 3 2/3. His longest outing on the year is 4 1/3. He's a guy that if Texas has a lead, they will give the ball to and just say, finish it. Go finish it. And more often than not, he does. Forcing him into the game while Texas is trailing would be massive for LSU, obviously, this weekend. So if you can get out to the fast start and your starters do what they're capable of doing, you have the opportunity to do that. The other one is Dylan Volantis. Dylan Volantis is a left-handed pitcher. He's got a little bit more oomph on the fastball. It'll be a little bit more low 90s. He'll back it up with the slider. 3 saves on the season for him, 6 appearances, an ERA of 1.65. Not going to extend as much, but he can. Since they've really kind of moved him to the bullpen, you've seen more, 3-inning outings, a third of an inning. He pitched an inning and a third against Mississippi State, picked up 2 saves. So he's a guy you can use in multiple different ways. When you look at Grubbs, that's going to be much more of the, okay, here's the ball, just go. Volantis, you might see him more in a traditional closer role potentially for Texas. But both of those guys at the back end are massive. The other thing to really watch here for Texas in the bullpen is the status of Andre Duplantier. Again, a name that should be extremely familiar to LSU fans. It feels like this kid's been at Texas for about 7 years. And his younger brother is also on the team on the offensive side. On Tuesday, he came in out of the bullpen in the 7th inning to face UTSA. When going through his warm-ups, Jim Schlossnagle and the trainer made a trip to the mound, talked to him, and they pulled him before he even threw a pitch in game. Schlossnagle, after the game, was asked about him, as you might expect, and this was the update, and this is still the latest update on Duplantier's status. Schlossnagle, quote, "He's fine. I think he didn't have a lot of time to get ready. He said he was ready. It looked like he was kind of slinging it a little bit. I don't think there's anything wrong with him," end quote. That sounds as positive as you could get, considering the head coach and the trainer go out to see a pitcher before he even throws a pitch in the game, and then they lift him. But Slosh would continue. Quote, "When I went out and asked him, 'How are you feeling?' he said, 'I'm okay.' Yeah, we're not going to pitch on a Tuesday night if we're just feeling okay. So I think he's fine, but we'll see," end quote. The "but we'll see" at the end of that calls into question everything else that he said. Is he being coy? Oh, no. There hasn't really been another update given. That would be a massive loss to Texas's bullpen. Massive, massive loss. Duplantier is he's second on the team in appearances with 7. It's a 1.6 ERA. Nothing is straight. Big guy, funky sidearm delivery. And again, just nothing is straight. Fastball 88 to 90 with plenty of sink, wicked slider. Another guy who they will give the ball to and say, "Go extend." That's what Texas has in the bullpen. A lot of those guys. You look at this, and it's really 5 guys that they like to go to because all of them can lengthen. If they don't have Andre Duplantier, that's a huge, huge loss because that would call up somebody else who maybe they haven't counted on as much into this point in the season. So keep that in mind. The other guy I really want to focus in on here, just for caveat standpoint, is Ruger Riojas. He threw 57 pitches on Tuesday night in that extra inning game against UTSA. He leads the team in appearances out of the pen, though. That's a guy that should and will be available, most likely starting Saturday. Don't think you'll see him Friday, maybe Saturday, but potentially Sunday. So keep that in mind. That could be a really huge bullet late in the series for Texas to bring it out of the bullpen. If a guy like Flores, again, can't get you out of the 4th inning, just file that away with Ruger Riojas. Really good arm, fastball slider combo, mid-90s heater, really good arm. Actually watched his entire outing on Tuesday night. When I got home from the box, I turned on the Texas and UTSA game and got to see his entire outing. He was impressive. Got out of a hell of a second and third nobody out jam in the 11th to keep the game tied and send it forward. But ultimately, UTSA would get the runs in the 12th that they needed. So really, really impressive bullpen arm there. Offensively, okay, we've talked a lot about Texas. One thing that you're going to see here in this series is one hell of a matchup between the leadoff hitters. Ethan Mendoza for Texas, and obviously Derek Curiel for LSU. Mendoza comes in hitting .406 and on base north of .523. He carries a 14-game hitting streak into this series. 9 of those 14 games are multi-hit games. He is elite at the top of Texas's order. You need to keep him off base because that will just jumpstart everything else, as you might imagine. He is tied for the team lead in runs scored. He can run the bases a little bit, 5 of 6 in stolen bases. That's just a guy that, he's been the prototypical leadoff guy. He's only struck out 12 times, so he sees a lot of pitches, more walks than strikeouts. A lot of the same qualities that Derek Curiel has. So whichever team can limit the opposing team's leadoff guy, and I know he only leads off the game once, but both these teams have done a great job getting them up to the plate and flipping the lineup. That's going to be a very, very key matchup here to watch in this game because both are absolutely fantastic. Again, we said there's plenty of names that you should know, and there are. Max Ballou, you should all know that name from the last few years facing Texas. He's off to another great start. Jalen Flores, the shortstop. Again, feels like he's been at Texas forever. Really good shortstop, great hitter as well, tick over 306. You should all be familiar with that name. Kimball Schuessler over at first base. You should all be familiar with that. He's hitting a tick below 300. He's off to a great start. Will Gasparino, the center fielder. Everyone should be familiar with that name. All of those guys, Ballou, Flores, Schuessler, Gasparino, Casey Borba, who's in and out of the lineup. You saw all of those guys the last few years to illustrate how veteran this lineup is. Tommy Farmer, veteran lineup. Ryan Galvan is the leading home run hitter and the leading RBI producer. He's also a tick over 300. When you look at Texas' lineup as a whole, you're going to see 5 300 hitters. We said Schuessler's a tick below at 299. You can count him, so call it 6. This is a team that will run the bases a little bit. 24 out of 34 on the steals. So they like to be active. Be a test for Luis Hernandez, but he controlled Missouri quite nicely this past weekend. And that was a team that was second, I believe, in the conference in stolen bases coming in. So he controlled that quite nicely. You'd expect him to do something similar here against Texas. They've got some pop in the bat, obviously, as well. 4 different guys have 4 homers on the season. Then we said Galvan with the 7 to lead the team. It's a veteran club with a potent offense, but it has not been their strength. The 143 runs scored for Texas ranks 14th in the league. They've gotten plenty of guys on base. Getting them home has been a bit more of an issue. They scored 8 runs in that first game against Mississippi State. The next 2 days, 5 runs. Next 2 games, I should say 5 runs, 4 runs. 8 in one game, 9 in the next 2. They don't always push it across. I like LSU's pitching against this lineup, and here's why. Texas, for all the really good things they do offensively, and there's a lot of them, Texas is top 3 in doubles. You're going to see 2 of the best double hitting teams in the league this week. A lot of gap power. They do a lot of great things. But they're also top 5 in the SEC in strikeouts. Texas has struck out 167 times so far on the season. And in contrast, Texas has only drawn 98 walks this season, which is 15th in the league. LSU, as we know, leads the SEC in strikeouts from a pitching standpoint. I like LSU in that regard. LSU also is top 3 in walks allowed in the SEC. Texas doesn't draw a lot of them. This is a free swinging team. When you look at some of the problems for LSU, walks have obviously been one of them. Can you limit those against a team that's going to help you and be free swinging? And then on the flip side, can Texas hone in their approach a little bit more? But I like LSU's pitching staff against Texas for that reason. This staff is going to thrive against free swinging teams. Texas is one of those. Get it close. The closer you are, the harder it is to hit because you have really good stuff on this staff. That also brings me to the wild pitches. And LSU's got a lot of those. In fact, LSU leads the Southeastern Conference in wild pitches. We've talked plenty about how that can cost you series later in the season. This is one of them that it can. You want to see LSU's pitchers and catchers, the backstop, just stay within themselves in a hostile environment where there's going to be some tightly contested pitches and some big moments where you're going to have to bounce a breaking ball in the dirt, potentially with a runner on third base to try to get out of an inning. Can Luis Hernandez keep it in front of him in this type of environment? Can the pitchers keep it close enough in the dirt to where he can keep it in front of him? How wild do they potentially get? And that factors into the walks as well. On paper, that matchup favors LSU. But you have to go out there and execute it. The other thing that I like for LSU offensively in this game, in this series, I should say, is Texas doesn't strike a lot of guys out. It's you have some good fastballs on the staff and whatnot, but it's not just overpowering stuff. Texas as a staff is right out about a strikeout per inning. They've struck out, I want to get the number right, and I can't find it now, of course. Texas has struck out 166 hitters. That's 15th in the league. If LSU is going to continue to be able to put the ball in play, and as aggressive as this offense is, it's going to find holes. I like LSU there. So when you look at the series, there's a lot to like about LSU. Will the offense travel? And how do they handle the environment? Those are the things. And then can you take advantage of the swing and miss in this Texas lineup on the mound? Those are the three things. Here's your goal. Get one. You have to get one. You know, Paul Maneri used to always say, it's hard to sweep. It's not hard to get swept. What you can't do is get swept. That being said, I like LSU to win the series. I think they go on the road and take 2 out of 3 from Texas because I do think the offense travels. And I do think LSU can take advantage of the swing and miss in this lineup. I believe all of those things. But what you have to do is at least get one. You get one, you come out of this 4-2, and you're feeling really good about where you are heading into the series with Mississippi State coming home. You go there and take 2 out of 3, come out of this 5-1, you feel excellent. So my official prediction is LSU wins the series 2 out of 3. But at most, you have to get one if you're LSU on the road. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Subscribe, share, follow, like, all of those things. Go to GotLitLights.com and be here next time for more on Musso at the Box.